Well, I know what you guys are thinking right now. Isn't he supposed to show us a campground? He's like in the middle of the forest, had this nice little lookout, and that's exactly true. And I came to start right here because it seems like a good place to start. That down there is the North Saskatchewan River, one of the most western points of David Thompson country, because on the other side, at the far back over there, that is all Banff National Park. And I came to show you guys today the Thompson Creek Provincial Recreational Area, which is basically a little campground. And there's also the Thompson Creek Falls that leads all the way to the far back over there. I don't know if you can see that big stubby mountain. So there's a bunch of waterfalls back in there, so we're gonna go check that out as well. But this is actually a tiny little lookout. I wouldn't have known it was here unless I talked to the attendant that takes care of the campground. She's like, you should stop here to check this out. This trail is actually right beside campsite number 48. There's a recycling bin and a garbage can. And if you sneak in between there, you'll see where a lot of people have gone up and down. And this will lead you directly to where I'm standing right now. So we're staying at the Thompson Creek Campground, and I wanted to show you guys all the amenities you can expect here. So the campground has like 2 distinct loops. So as you come in, you're on the east loop, and there's 33 sites. You can go around there and pick a site, or you can even cross this tiny little bridge. And on the other side, I think there's 23 more campsites. Both loops have 3 washrooms, except for the first loop kind of has a 4th bathroom, but I think it was only put in there for the day use area. And there's even picnic tables all along the creek. There's also a little day use area close to the washrooms where there's picnic tables there as well, and little fire pits. You can even buy firewood directly from the attendant there. So both loops kind of have the same thing with 3 washrooms, and they both have a water pump. There's marked for not for drinking, mainly because the government of Alberta doesn't want to be responsible to test the purity of the water every year. That's a requirement if you want to have a sign that it's good for drinking. In the center, in the day use area, that's where you're going to find a couple neat things. One of them, there's the attendant on the far south side. They have a little cabin there, so they stay there all year round. So if you have any issues when you're here, it's actually quite nice to be able to just go and knock on somebody's door and say, hey, I need this or I need that. What I thought was neat too, at the woodshed, they actually have a list of common items that you might need while you're camping. When you're out here, if you're missing something, you're gonna have to travel 100+ kilometers to find it. So when you get to the campground, you wanna drive around first to see if there's available spots. And then you go right back in the middle and find that little brown registration kiosk. And that kiosk has these little brown envelopes. You grab one, and you go back to your campsite, you fill in all the information, what site number you're in, you put the money, and you come back, you put that into the registration. There's like a little slot for the money, and then you're good to stay for however many nights you want. So technically there's 56 sites, 33 on one side and 23 on the other. But last year they added 3 walk-in sites. There's just a fire pit and a picnic table, and it's like a little open area. There's bear bins on the other side, so it's super, super handy. I like camping with my backcountry gear sometimes, especially if I'm on the road, just because it's super easy to use. So let's head back out of here. I'm gonna show you guys what the walk-in sites look like and the Thompson Creek, what that looks like. And then we're gonna follow Thompson Creek all the way up to the back of that valley in there and see what the Thompson Creek Falls looks like. Something else they added here in 2022 is a few walk-in sites right along Thompson Creek. Tonight, I'm sleeping right in one of these ones here. I would have taken this one a little bit too close to the river for me. I would like to be a little bit more inside, to a little bit high from the wind, but you can still hear the creek. It's an awesome little spot here to camp. Get your own little fire pit right along the creek. So now that I showed you guys what the campground looks like, we're gonna go up the creek down there, and there's a set of waterfalls, the Thompson Creek Falls. So follow me, and we're gonna go hike up there and see what else we can find here at the Thompson Creek Provincial Recreation Area. Wow, look at this. It's starting to get really warm outside, and this seems like a good little spot to refresh myself. At around the 1.2, 1.3 kilometer mark, you find this, the main spot that you have to cross the creek. I was wondering that when I started the trail, because you actually start the trail going up on the east side, and you know that the waterfalls is on the west side. So you're like, well, where is the creek crossing? Well, it's right over there. They put several pieces of wood, and there's so much deadfall here that, I mean, you could come here and start putting more pieces of wood on there. There's already like half a dozen. It's fairly easy to cross. Just take your time. And the water that's in behind me there, that is actually coming from the Mount Klein and Mount Owen. That's the Thompson Creek here. And it starts at the far back over there. So that's where we're going. Right in front of me there's another little creek. I think this is kind of why it made like a small gorge. It's because all the water from Resolute Mountain, which is a different valley, also comes down here, and this is where the creeks meet and they merge right here. When you're at the highway, it looks like there's quite a bit of water from a creek, but it's actually coming from multiple valleys on 3 different mountains. Well, it looks like I had time to have a little break here, and I'm cooled down, and head back on the trail. Probably another 3.5 kilometers. We'll get to the Thompson Creek Falls. That is Thompson Creek Falls, right in David Thompson country. And this is quite the jaunt to get up here. Not gonna lie, the first 3 kilometers, I thought this is gonna be a fairly easy trail. The trail for the most part is very well defined. From the 3 to 4 kilometer mark, that's when you actually turn in towards the mountain and you come into this valley. And then at the 4 kilometer mark, then I think you gain like close to 200 meters of elevation gain in that last kilometer. Most of your elevation gain is in the last K. So keep that in mind if you come here. This is not the type of waterfall that you want to bring an elderly person. You need to be able to take care of yourself out here. But the trail is well defined. There's only one point kind of in the middle where you have to make sure that you don't take the scrambling route that goes up the Mount Klein. And I think it pinches down to a point where you can scree up and go on top. That's not the trail you want to go. You're going to see a bunch of flags, and then that's where you want to keep going straight. Up until you see the waterfalls, you want to be like within 10 to 15 meters of the creek. If you start going far away from the creek that you can't hear it or see it anymore, you've gone a bit too far. But this might be the most difficult one in David Thompson country to come and check out, but definitely one of the most impressive because you're way up top on this head wall. It's just gorgeous all the way on the side here. And even from this elevation, you can peer down and see all the way down the North Saskatchewan River. Well, this is the Thompson Creek Falls here in David Thompson country. And I'm Eric Tremblay, and these are my adventures. Peace out.